Welcome back, this is Goku7DBZ and welcome to a new special top 10 list. And with that said, this is going to be a list of not in definite order to the absolute highest. This is just 10 of, looking into it, 10 of the most overpriced games in my personal opinion compared to what I think they should be priced. Now keep in mind, it's just one list. In the future I'll probably do a couple more lists because there's a lot of overpriced games. Um, to qualify for this list, the game has to at least be, in decent condition. I look at decent condition overall online, like Amazon, eBay, and other sites like that sell stuff, gaming. So it has to be at least in decent condition. Looking at the price range overall, but to qualify for the list, the game has to be going for at least $80+ to qualify for this overpriced list. So with that said, now this list predominantly has mostly games I looked at for the Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, and the Super Nintendo. And in the future I'll look at, of course, many other consoles, besides more games of these. But specifically, I actually own a few of these games I bought back before they skyrocketed. With that said, first, a couple honorable mentions. First of all, for the Sega Dreamcast, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Yeah, believe it or not, Third Strike is actually pretty pricey. Now, keep in mind, this is strictly the American version of the game. Many of these games you can actually get way cheaper importing from Japan, especially on the Dreamcast and the Saturn. Very much so. That's why I've collected a lot of import stuff, because American prices are pretty ridiculous. But with that said, first of all, trying to get this, but yeah, is Third Strike. Now, average price on Third Strike, in box, case, everything, you're looking at about, on average, $75 to $100 for a Street Fighter game. Yeah, Street Fighter Third Strike, though, to be fair, sold less than 300,000 copies worldwide. So for a Street Fighter game, it's actually pretty rare when you look at it, how many copies with like under 300,000 copies. You kind of understand why it's a lot more expensive, because keep in mind, of the original release, it only was released on the Sega Dreamcast, strictly console-wise. Nowadays you can play it in multiple versions and stuff. But with that said, and yeah, kind of crazy. Last honorable mention, second one, also for the Sega Dreamcast, game, of course, I actually have, Skies of Arcadia, which is an incredible JRPG, and it's one of my top 10 favorite Dreamcast games of all time. But average price for this game, believe it or not, on average goes for anywhere from $80 to $130 for the American version, which is pretty crazy if you ask me. That's pretty pricey. Now, if you're, for instance, say, wanting one factory sealed, the average price for Skies of Arcadia brand new is $250 and up. Pretty expensive, to say the least. $250 is quite costly, but yet even normal, at least halfway decent condition, $80 to $130. Number 10, for the Super Nintendo. Now, not many fans, I'm sure, are surprised by this. It's a Mega Man game. There are actually about 3 or 4 Mega Man games that are pretty pricey on the American versions. But coming at number 10 is Mega Man X2 for the Super Nintendo. And if you're wondering how much it goes for on average, keep in mind, varies in price from okay condition to like mint condition. You're looking on average anywhere from $100 to $180. Pretty pricey. Yeah, funny enough, that's a little bit cheaper than what it was going for a couple of years ago. At one time, it was going for over $200 on average. So 108, not technically as bad as it was, still pretty pricey. If you're wanting in box, and that's not even factory still, just in box, you're looking at over $200 easily. Coming at number 9 is a game I own in my collection. You see in the case right here by my thumb. And that is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. Now, if you want to get for another platform, you can get re-release art in the PS1 collection, which goes for like $30 or so, and about the same $30+ on the DS. But if you want the actual original Chrono Trigger on SNES, just the cartridge by itself on average goes for $100 to $150. If you're wanting in box, $250 and up. Yeah, that should say something about how expensive the game is. It's definitely one of the more expensive Square games. Coming at number 8 is another thing, a branch off game of a Mega Man series. Branch off of course, the awesome Mega Man Legends series. And of course, this is the infamous, one of the most well-known expensive PS1 games. And that is coming at number 8, Tron Bonne, or rather, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne. I have a digital version, which I paid like $5 for, but if you want physical, you're looking anywhere from $180 to $250 for Tron Bonne. I've tried like 3 or 4 times to get a PlayStation copy of Tron Bonne, but I'm not willing to shell out $200 for Tron Bonne. I'm sorry, as much as I want that game in my collection, given I have both Mega Man Legend games, I'm not shelling out that kind of money for it, which sucks. If you want in-box, like actual in-box or sealed, you're looking at upwards of probably $280 and up. So you might as well say probably closer to like $300 and up. So yeah, pretty pricey. Coming at number 7 is definitely no surprise. You've heard it's become infamous for collectors wanting it. Most people aren't willing to give away or sell out their copy, which is why the price has gone up. Even though there's like 2 million copies of the game. And that is Earthbound. Of course, Japanese version called Mother. But Earthbound on average, just cartridge by itself, goes upwards of $250 and up. And it's been that way for several years now. If you want factory sealed copy of Earthbound, you're talking over $600 and up for a sealed copy of Earthbound. Over $600. That's ridiculous. Coming in at number 6, a Sega Saturn game, JRPG. I have the Japanese version of the game. It's actually a really good game, but it's hard to play when I don't know Japanese. Still a fun game. If you want the American version, it's called Shining Force 3. Average price of it goes, on average, anywhere from $200 to $250. And that's just, like, in good condition. That's not factory sealed. Unfortunately, it's hard to find factory sealed copies online. But from what I've seen, on average, factory sealed copies go for, like, $400 or $500 and up. Pretty pricey. Coming at number 5, another game I have on my Dreamcast, which I'm glad that I got it years back for like $50. But that is the game Cannon Spike, which is a relatively pretty rare game to collect, for that being Japanese version or American, whatever. On average, Cannon Spike goes for $150 to $200. Yeah, as I said, pretty pricey. And yeah, the main character of the game is, of course, Charlie Nash. For any big Capcom fan, I consider it a must-collect game for either a Capcom fan or a Dreamcast fan. It's a must-own game, in my opinion. It's a fun but very difficult game, though, to just know that in advance. It is a high-difficult game. Next, coming at number 4, another pretty hard to get a hold of game and super expensive on-rail shooter. I don't own this, though I'm looking about getting a Japanese version of the game. Because Japanese I can get for about $30 or $40, pretty reasonable. If you want the American version, it's called Giga Wing 2. If you want the American version for Dreamcast, you're looking at $300 and up. And that's not factory sealed, that's just in case. Yeah, $300 and up is the average price for the game. Bonkers, if you ask me. Coming in number 3, another Street Fighter game. This is hands down the rarest and most expensive Street Fighter game from looking into price ranges and stuff, and this is easily probably one of the top 3 or 5 most expensive fighting games to collect. It was released originally for the Sega Saturn. It's Street Fighter Alpha 3, or rather Street Fighter 03. This actually didn't get an American release. It was Japanese only release, but limited made. There was very small amount of copies printed. It's Street Fighter 03 for the Sega Saturn. Yeah, you can get the game for, like I did, for Dreamcast for about $30 or $40. If you want the American version, though, of Alpha, you're probably looking at $70 on average. Cheaper if you go with the PlayStation 1 version is probably the cheapest, but the most inferior. PSP version is really good. You can get that for like $20. But if you're curious how much Street Fighter 03 on the Saturn costs, $250 to $350. Yes, you heard me right. On average, you're talking anywhere from about $250 to $350 for an okay condition copy of the game. Not factory sealed. I haven't even found a factory sealed copy for sale on eBay or Amazon. So if there was, I can only imagine how expensive it is. But yeah, $350 for a Street Fighter game is pretty bonkers. And it's come from a Street Fighter hardcore fan. Next up is probably the most expensive fight game, at least that I've seen. And that is a special Final Fight game that was exclusively released only in Japan on the Sega Saturn. It's a Final Fight game called Final Fight Revenge. You can get a digital version of the game if you want. Good luck. Still, it's pretty hard to find. It's a mediocre fighting game from what I've heard. But I gotta admit, I would love to own it in my collection, but only if I can find one for an okay price. Same for 03. Final Fight Revenge will set you back on average $300 to $400, and that's just in good condition. You want brand new copy of this game, you're looking at over $600 on average. Yeah, as I said, bonkers. Number 1 should be no surprise. I have a Japanese version of this game. I want, though, the English version. And whether it be PAL or American release of the game, it's still ridiculously priced regardless. And it is currently ranked the 3rd most rare game on the Sega Saturn. And 3rd, like, most expensive to collect. But on this list, this comes at number 1, Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is a game I want in my collection because I'm an uber Panzer Dragoon fan. I have the other games in my series, in my collection. As I said, I have Japanese version of Saga, but I want the American version. But the average price for Panzer Dragoon Saga is $450 to $600, and that's in decent condition. You want factory sealed copy of Saga? That will set you back about $1,300. Over $1,300 if you want a brand new copy of Saga. And you think $450 to $600 is insane, which is pretty crazy if you ask me. But $1,300 for a new copy. I'm sorry, no. But anyways, that is a list of 10 of the most expensive games to collect. And I highly recommend, if you're lucky out in the wild, you find a copy or look out, take advantage of it. But anyways, this is Goku-san DBZ. I am also working on a special in the future top 10 list, top or 10 overpriced game consoles. That's going to take a while to put together because I'm having to research many different game consoles, some I don't even know about, in order to compile this list. But with that said, I'll see you all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.